Welcome back, everyone, to Roadium Radio, episode 350, and I am your host, Tony A, the Wizard. I remember when I first said that 5 years ago on this day, September 11th. First and foremost, I want to give my condolences, my prayers and my condolences to all the people that lost loved ones on 2001, September 11th, which today we call, the 9/11, and it's just sad what happened. But so once again, my prayers and my condolences. Why we started Roadium Radio on 9/11 of 2019, it had nothing to do with that date. That was just a date that I set, and we met it. And the rest is history. We're here now 5 years later. But first and foremost, I want to start off by thanking everyone, all of my subscribers, everybody who's been my day one. When I mean by my day one, who started watching me from episode 1. Now we're at episode 350. Now keep in mind, these are Roadium Radio episodes. I've had Dining with the Wizard, Drinking with the Wizard, Verse for Verse. We've just had so many other shows, Conversations with Marvelous, News with Norbies, Cervantes Enterprise, Calls with the Wizard. We just had so many different shows, not just Roadium Radio, but all under the umbrella of Tonyvision. And that was my idea, to start pretty much like a television station on YouTube, and under Tonyvision have so many Verse for Verse, Roadium Radio, Dining with the Wizard, Calls with the Wizard, etc. So far it's been successful. This would not have been made possible if it wasn't for you guys, if it wasn't for the subscribers, if it wasn't for the members, if it wasn't for the people that tune in weekly. I get people all the time that tell me, I watch your shows on repeat. These are my favorite shows. This is my favorite show. I'm rewatching this show. Please bring back this artist. And I try to do it, and I try to get as many people as I could in 5 years. And I remained consistent. I remained faithful to the show, and I want to thank all of you guys for remaining faithful as well. Everybody on the live chat, everybody who decided not to be on the live chat, everybody who liked, comment, disliked, unsubscribed, it doesn't matter. You guys are still watching. I want to jump right into it. This is 5 years now since I started this podcast. First and foremost, I want to say that I didn't know what I was doing when I started podcasting. If I can backtrack a little bit, it was 2002 when I started working for Ralph's in the city of Compton, which is owned by Kroger. I got myself a job. I left the music industry in 2002. Worked myself to the top, got top pay, became a local 572 Teamster, much love and respect to them. I was there 15 years. The last 5 years, I worked sanitation. I was working 3 o'clock in the morning till 11:30, and by 12 o'clock, I was at the gym, and that was pretty much my routine, possibly my last 6 years there. I met a lot of good people there at Ralph's. When I found out that my manager at the time, well, he was my ex-manager, Steve Yano, a Japanese vendor from the city of Whittier. When I say vendor, because he would sell with the swap meet. He gave independent artists an opportunity to sell their independent records at the Roadium swap meet in the city of Gardena. I met Steve when I was 11 years old. He gave me my first job. I started selling records with him. I stopped selling records with him around 13 years old. I didn't get reacquainted with him till 1987, so it was probably when I was maybe about a late 18-year-old. And most of you guys know the story. I went back to visit him several years later. I was already DJing. I met Dr. Dre there. I met Sir Jinx. And I met Eazy-E there. I met them all through this man, Steve. And that's how I got acquainted and got to know DJ Yella, Red, and Cube, was through Steve. I would always give Steve Yano his flowers because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't know people like NWA. I wouldn't know people like Violet Brown. I wouldn't know like the world-class wrecking crew, Lonzo. I wouldn't know DJ Unknown or Unknown DJ. These were all his friends, and they became my friends. I probably would have never have gotten signed to Disney in 1990, and my record comes out in 1991. He introduced me to Tone Loc, Young MC, Michelle A., just so many greats, so many people at the Roadium swap meet. When I caught wind that he passed away, and I'll explain to you guys how he passed away. A lot of you guys may not know, and I say this respectfully to his family. His daughter was about to get married, and they were going to have the reception in his backyard. He climbed up the ladder to fix the water, the water drain. To what his wife told me, that when she walked inside the house, he fell. Some people speculate, the doctors speculate, that he had a stroke while he was on a 2-story ladder. When he came down, it just didn't look good. And that's how he passed away. So I took it upon myself to do something in remembrance of him, so that his name would not get lost. It wasn't about my name, and it wasn't about Dr. Dre. It wasn't about Ice Cube. It was about Steve Yano, the man who looked out for me. Other than possibly my mother and my father, Steve was probably the next closest person to me. So that's why I say that this man is very near and dear to me, him and his 2 daughters and his wife. He looked out for me. He would drive all the way from Whittier, showed me how to do the mixtapes. He would take me not too far from here, Audio Achievements in the city of Torrance, and that's where I met Dre and Yella and all those guys while they were recording their albums. And I met the DOC there. I met Hutch, Above the Law. I met all the guys there. I met Cocaine there, JJ Fad. I met all of these people because of this man. So I took it upon myself. I didn't have a budget. Nobody helped me. It was just work money because I was working. And I didn't know what I was doing as far as putting together a documentary. I wanted to do something for him, something special. And even after I was finished filming it, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I had already been out of the music industry for about 15 years. So I wasn't listening to no music. I didn't have favorite rappers. I wasn't on social media. I was just working and feeding my family and raising my kids. And there was a guy that reached out to me on Instagram one day when my son convinced me start an Instagram page. And I didn't really care to. I didn't know how to run an Instagram page. The last time that I was actually on a social media was on MySpace. That was 2006 when I was DJing for DJ Quick. Just that 1 year, and then I got back out of the music because it was the same old shit. A guy reaches out to me, sends me a video that he had just directed, he had just filmed, and he had just edited. Thought it was great. I didn't know nothing about cameras. I just thought the footage looked great. I messaged him back, which on Instagram we call him DM, and I said, hey, did you do this? And he said, yeah. I said, here's my number, call me. So he calls me. And I said, what are you doing tomorrow? And he says, nothing. I said, tomorrow's my day off. Let's go have lunch or breakfast. And he said, okay. So we met. The rest is history. He had I believe it was a Canon camera. I didn't know what year. I don't know if it was old. All I knew was that it recorded. And it recorded in high definition. And I said, let's do a documentary on Steve Yano. He was already a fan of mine. He knew about the mixtapes because he himself was from the city of Torrance, next to Gardena, where the Roadium was at. So I know I drove him crazy because I had it all up here. I was not the guy to write it all. So we did a lot of run and gun at when we did this documentary, which later I invited one of my good friends, DG, Daniel Jones, to come in. He had another camera, so we had 2 cameras now. So we're kind of doing a Mickey Mouse documentary, which is only supposed to be about 30 minutes long. Turned out to be 3 hours. Took us 1 year to film. And it was all on my budget. I almost went broke because I have to be in bed by a certain time, get up at 2:30 in the morning, get dressed. I got 15 minutes to get to work and clock in at 3 o'clock. That was my schedule. And so we went ahead and finished it after a year. We had about 20 people on there. Mr. Cartoon, once again, Violet Brown, Kid Frost, everybody who knew the history of those mixtapes. A lot of people don't know, unless you've seen the documentary, that Mr. Cartoon got his big break at the Roadium swap meet because he used to buy my mixtapes. He was a fan of mine, and that's where he used to sell his airbrush T-shirts and back of Steve Yano's stand. So that was a blessing to have met him back then in the 80s. We needed a name for the documentary. We wanted to call it the mixtape documentary. We didn't know. My friend DJ, I want to give him the credit. He said it's a documentary about mixtapes. Call it docu-mixery. I thought that was brilliant. So we went ahead and copyrighted that name, and we said, this is the name of it. I didn't know anything about editing. My friend didn't know anything about editing, but we sat together here, exactly where I'm sitting here, and it took us about a whole year to edit. I didn't know nothing about overlays. I didn't know anything about transitions. I didn't know anything except I know it looks good. Let's try that. Bring this picture in, make it fade out, and that's what we did through my imagination, through my ideas, and it worked, and we released it to the public, and you can catch the 1-hour version of Steve's docu-mixery, the history of Steve Yano and the mixtapes. One thing that his wife gave me her blessing, Susan, and said, you can go ahead and do it, but I don't want you to talk about his personal life. Just talk about his life at the swap meet and how he blessed you through music and etc. So we said, okay. Here's where we kind of get to the whole podcasting thing. So we're done with the docu-mixery, and I don't know what to do with it. We have something that's really, really dope. Called up my good friend Violet Brown. She hooked us up with a lady from Netflix. She came here. She saw it. What I didn't know then is that Netflix and the Hulus, the Amazon, they just don't want one. So I'm speaking to all of you that are filming today who possibly don't know this information. Maybe this can help you. They don't just want one. They want content. I had 3 hours worth of footage, and it was one documentary, but they said, no, break it up into 4. I didn't want to do that. It had already taken me a year to edit everything. So I just said, we're just going to release it ourselves. Big mistake. We had meetings with, once again, Netflix, Amazon, and other platforms, and everybody wanted the same thing. Give it to us in a series. We released episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. The bad thing about that the Netflix people wanted to call it the Roadium Swap Meet, where hip-hop began. No, that's not where hip-hop began. I mean, yes, it is a pillar in the West Coast. I believe that the Roadium Swap Meet is the home of the West Coast mixtape, because Dr. Dre made it that way, not Tony 8, but Tony 8 contributed to that. So we didn't want to go with them because they were just going to ruin our dreams. So we just said, let's just go ahead and release it ourselves. So we did. I got in contact with a guy named Rashidi Harper, who I've interviewed here. He does a lot of stuff for Dr. Dre, a lot of filming for Dr. Dre. He directed the Hip Hop Uncovered. I believe it was on FX. I think it was like 5 or 6 docuseries. He just recently did Chris Rock and Kevin Hart. Like, I guess it's like a show, a concert documentary type of deal. It was just released either earlier this year or late last year, and I had him here to promote that. I got in contact with him through a friend from New York. My friend from New York said he'll give you 20 minutes lunch, talk to him. So we went. I gave him a documentary. I gave him the 1-hour version, and he called me back and he said, I want to see the full 3 hours. He called me back and he said, Tony, this is amazing. I can't believe that this is your first time directing. You are a director. And I just said, I didn't know what I was doing, Rashidi. I didn't know what I was doing. So then he said, no. He says, you're on track. So he said, I believe that I can take this somewhere. What happened was that we had already released it. No company's going to want to take something off your hands if you've already released it to the public. That was another mistake that we had done, but we didn't know. So after that, it was just good responses. We entered it into film festivals, and then COVID hits. And it pretty much, like, everything came at us during that time. Everything was shut down, as we know. Now, before September 11th, 2019, at the beginning of the year, that January, leading up to September, we had January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. We had about 7 to 8 months to promote the documentary and to promote the podcast. Now, at the beginning of 2019, I literally went around asking people, how do I promote this? Do I buy a newspaper ad? I'm thinking old school way. Do I buy a page in a magazine? Do I buy a billboard at a bus stop? I didn't know what to do. Keep in mind, I was gone for 15 years, just working. people kept telling me podcast, podcast, podcast. What the hell is a podcast? It's live stream. What is live stream? It's on Spotify. What the hell is Spotify? That's how naive I was coming back into the industry. So people said, get on Instagram and look up podcasters. So I did. One thing about podcasting that I didn't know, that everybody just had audio. Nobody had visuals, at least not that I came across at that time. So I hit up this one guy. My first interview was on a phone. And then he said he was going to load it up to his Spotify. Then another guy said he was going to load it up to his website. Then another guy said, let's just do a live on Facebook. Then another guy said, let's just do a live on Instagram. And I was literally begging everyone, hey, interview me. I'm Tony A. Hey, I have history. I work with Cypress Hill. I work with NWA. I work with Tina Marie. They didn't care. So I literally had to write everything down, kind of give it to them as my bio. They would look at it, and if they were interested, a lot of people told me no. A lot of people told me yes. I did like 4 or 5 interviews at Dash Radio. Everybody was telling me Dash was like the new Power 106. And I went over there, but it was all live streaming. None of it was visuals. I did an interview, thankfully, with the Baker Boys. That one was visuals, one of my first ones. So I would say that within those span of 7 months before I started my podcast, I must have did about 60 or a little bit more interviews, and I don't even know if anybody watched. So one day, I believe his name's, what's his name? The comedian. We were just talking about him earlier. I'm sorry, what was it? George Perez. Thank you, B. George Perez. I went to Curious Radio when it was still on. I don't know if it's still on, out of Orange County. And somebody hooked me up with that. Hey, man, they got a podcast over there. It's not visual. It's just pure audio. People have to download the app to listen to it. I took my guy and said, you know what, man, we're going to load it up into our YouTube. So we filmed it. So George Perez interviewed me, and then he took me to his home podcast. Later on, we did that one. So I want to thank George Perez for helping me out with that. Then there was another guy named Tony Montana. He did an interview. I asked him, can I please do an interview? I don't care if it's 15 minutes. He gave me 15 minutes. I was just trying to get the word out that this documentary was going to be dropping and that I was going to be starting up a podcast. So by that time, I had my team, maybe of 3 or 4 at the time. And I said, I want to start my own podcast. So I called up a lot of these guys that were interviewing me. I want to do it on YouTube. I want to go live, and I want to do visuals. Every single one of those guys, okay? And I hope they're listening. Every single one of those guys told me, do not go live. You're better off going live on Instagram. Nobody's going to watch. You're going to be begging people for views, and you're going to be begging people to subscribe. Do not go live. All of them did. You know what I told my partner, and I told my son, and I told my team? We're going to go live. Because I've always been one to go against the grain. I've always been a leader, okay? So I said, we're going to go ahead and do that. We're not going to do what everybody does. We're not going to go ahead and just upload an audio. Look, let me tell you something, what inspired that. In the 90s, LL Cool J was at Power 106. And I remember I couldn't wait to hear that interview. And the interviews were good, but they always break them up into, they talk to them for about a minute, then they do like a 30, 40-second commercial, then they come back and talk to them for about 2 minutes, then they do a 30, and I hated that. I wanted to see LL answer the questions. So I thought, when I interview somebody, I want to see them answer the questions. And all I was going to do was just go live for about 2 months, roughly, just to promote the docu-mixery. My partner at the time said, no, we'll go 7 months. I said, let's do 4. Okay, we'll do 4. So I started out on September 11th, 2019, and my first guest was Mellow Man Ace. He was my very first guest. I only had 238 subscribers on YouTube. But I'll be honest with you. I would ask people at the market, hey, I'm starting up a podcast. Do you mind subscribing? Yeah, sure. I would go out to, Buffalo Wild Wings or something. Hey, I'm starting up a podcast. What's a podcast? Oh, I'm going to be interviewing people. Do you like rap? Yeah. Do you mind subscribing? That's how I got my majority of my subscribers. 238. On the live chat that night, I believe we had like 48 people watching. I didn't know, and I didn't care as long as people were watching. I was just surprised that we had 48 people watching. So everything was going good. I was happy. I'm thinking 4 months, it's a wrap. Okay. Well, my number 2 guest was Misfit Soto, which I just recently had here. My 3rd guest, I believe, was High C. And then my 4th guest was Ernie G from Proper Dos. I only intended to bring the people that were in the documentary so that I can promote the documentary. That's how Roadium Radio started. Now, it's a no-brainer. I had to name it Roadium Radio for after the Roadium Swamp Meet, because Steve's stand at the Roadium was like a record station, like a radio station, if you will. It played so many records, not only like Public Enemy, LL Cool J, the Fat Boys, UTFO, but also independent records like Mixed Master Spade, Toddy T, Young MC, Delicious Vinyl stuff. So I went ahead and just started interviewing people. But when a lot of these guys that were on the documentary said, you know what, I already gave you an interview, bro. I don't want to come back. You know what I did? I stepped out and did something that nobody was doing. I started asking people, hey, who's the hottest rappers out there right now? I started thinking independently, because that's what Steve would do. Steve would get independent records that weren't played on the radio or weren't sold at Music Plus, Tower Records. They weren't being sold at Sam Goody's. They weren't being sold at the warehouse. But he would sell them there. And he had a strong independent fan base that would go over there and buy these records that you couldn't buy at the normal stores. Another guy that was doing the same thing, but I believe he was before Steve Yano or around the same time, was, and I want to give him his flowers, Kelvin Anderson, the owner of VIP Records. Much love and respect to him. I met him in 1987 through Steve Yano, and that man gave me a break to record a record in 1987 with Sir Jinx, Dr. Dre's cousin, and a guy named Dazzy D. And I did the scratching. It came out in 1988 on Thin Line Records. Thin Line Records, the first vinyl that came out of VIP Records. I was a part of that. So thank you, Kelvin Anderson. So I started calling people. I said, like, hey, you know what? Who's the hottest guy out there? Oh, this guy right here on social media. And one of the first guys, to be honest, that people told me he might be the next guy to blow up was Bozo. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, you know, I heard good things about you. You down to do an interview? Sure. A lot of these guys, it was the first time doing an interview. I didn't know. I didn't care. I wanted to shine light. I realized that Raza didn't have a platform. I was too busy trying to interview these people that had been in the industry 30 plus years, and they were a little bit older. They weren't trying to make it out here anymore. Some of them did, and I'm grateful for it. But they were like, Tony, I already did this, man. You know what? I don't want to promote it. I don't want to come on there. If we can do something else, cool, whatever. So next couple of guys, who were they? People like Cool Joe, people like Bella the Rapper, and they just walked through these doors and sat in front of me, and I learned so much from them, and I shined light. This platform shined light on what they were doing. One thing that I admire and I love about my fans is that they tell me, if it wasn't for Roadium Radio, I would have never have heard of the majority of these rappers that you interviewed. But that was because I took the chance to go against the grain and say, okay, they're not hot. You know, people are somewhat talking about them on social media, but they haven't been given a platform for them to shine. Let's bring them on. I didn't know if anybody was going to tune in, but that didn't matter. So we're almost about to hit 7 months on Roadium Radio. At first, I was only doing Wednesdays. And then I was booked like for 3 months in advance. And I was like, shoot, that's too far. I was booking people and saying, your interview was in 3.5 months. So after a while, I said, let me just do Sundays. I'll do Sundays. I think one of the biggest battles for me was dealing with people that whenever I would have somebody like, for an example, a Ray Monique or a Bella the Rapper, like I said, or a Cool Joe, or just somebody of that caliber, people would, who in the fuck is this? Tony A's just you interviewing anybody. Nobody's ever heard of them. These guys just started rapping yesterday. And my favorite line was like, you know what? In your eyes, they may be a nobody, but help me make these nobodies a somebody. Because ultimately, that's what they're doing it for. They want to become somebody. They want to showcase their talent. But if we as a people, as a raza, continue to put each other down, nobody's ever going anywhere. Nobody is ever going anywhere. So I went against the grain. I received a lot of hate, but we'll get to that. Okay. But we hit 7 months. I remember when I first hit my 10K, man, I'm not going to lie to you when I say this. When I first hit my 10K, I thought YouTube was broke because it was going by so fast. I was getting maybe 100 subscribers a day. The next day, 100. The next day, 100. And I remember I could tell my friend, like, bro, we just hit 10K right now. We were at like 9,300 and something this morning, and it's noon, and we hit 10K. And you know what he told me? And something I didn't know. And it's the first time that I'm probably going to announce it here on Roadium Radio. He said, that's dope. I can get you monetized now. And I said, you keep saying that. What the hell is that? What is monetize? Well, you know, you have to get 1,000 subscribers, which we have, and then you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time. We have that. You're monetized now. Okay, I know, but what is that? You don't know? And I go, no, I don't know. YouTube sends you out a check every month for people watching. What the fuck? All that time I didn't know that we were collecting money. I didn't know. I said that to say this, that I never started this out to make money. And I've always told people that have seen my podcast, I've always told people, if you release good product, money will always come knocking. You don't have to chase money. Don't do this for money. Don't do this for money. That's why you see a lot of these guys today doing podcasts talking about the first time, you know, they boned a girl, or the first time they did the fucking being like a cholo dance at a club. And it's like, it's nonsense, but they get addicted to these checks that they're just releasing, you know, content after content after content, and they're burning themselves out. Anybody, I don't know. I can't go live every day. I just can't. But there are people that can do it. And if they can do it, more power to them. I just can't. I try to do it maybe 2 with Freaky Tales, maybe 3 times a week, if that. I can't, but I need my extra 4 days, you know, of relaxing and regathering myself, regrouping. I just can't do that. So I didn't know about monetization till later. But in 1 year, a year later, we had 25K subscribers. Then I did something that I wish more people would do. Okay? I really wish more people would do. I started noticing podcasters starting to come up. I'm like 1 or 2 podcasters, and they were raza. And I reached out to one of the guys, and I shot out my number, and I said, if you ever need anything. At this time, this podcaster had about 6,000. The other podcaster probably had about 10,000. And the first guy said, yeah, man, I would love to come on your show. He came on my show, and I said, I want my subscribers to be his subscribers. Brought the other guy on eventually. I want my subscribers to be his subscribers. Because I've always said there's enough light and there's enough shine and there's enough money for everyone. I've never believed that there is one seat on top. There's room for everyone. For you to think I'm the number one rapper, I'm the number one podcaster, you're fooling yourself, man. There's always going to be somebody better. Just make room. Let everybody up. You know, it was Jamie Foxx that said this story. I don't know if it's true or not, but he said he met I'm assuming a billionaire. This guy had money. And that this man told Jamie Foxx, he said, it's lonely at the top. And he said it really, really sad. And Jamie said, he asked him, why is it lonely at the top? And the man said, because I never brought anybody with me. So when I've learned that, I said to myself, it's not going to be lonely at the top. I'm going to bring people with me. And I've always said this, for all you, my one-dayers that say, you know, I was there since day one, I've always told you, I'm going to open doors for you guys. And when you walk through that door, make sure you leave the door open for the next man. Don't close it behind you. Leave it open for the next man to come in. I met rappers here that have gotten drunk and have told me, if I open that door, I'm shutting that motherfucker behind me. That's when things started to take a turn for the worst, I believe. But we'll get to that, okay? So once again, September 11, 2019, in 1 year, I had 25,000 subscribers, and I didn't know anything about monetization, okay? I had realized that Raza didn't have a platform, and I started bringing people in. Once again, I got highly criticized because people were saying, is that a essay, podcast? Is that a Sureño podcast? Is that just a Raza? Is that just a Chicano? And then when I would bring black artists, my own people would say, why are you over there jocking blacks? This is just a platform for everyone, okay? It's a platform for everyone. So you podcasters out there that are thinking about starting up a podcast or are barely starting, I got a little message for you guys at the very end, okay? Now, we were approaching 1 year of podcasting, and we were about to hit 25K. At the end of that year, we had already hit 25, but this was maybe about a month or two before. Me and my partner got together and we said, let's make a plan. We're going to go hard for 5 years. 5 years. By that time, Roadium Radio would have done what it was supposed to do. And then we'll move on to our next adventure. Today's 5 years, and I am going to move on. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. He probably lasted maybe not even a year and a half, and he left. I was stuck with the podcast, the website, everything that I had to get a whole new team. I faced a lot of adversity, but we'll get to that too. Okay. Somebody asked me a question before I get to my most memorable guest. Okay, because I do have some memorable guests. Okay. Was it worth all the time, effort, and money invested? Yes. I believe his name's Abel, West Coast Renegade. He worked for George, I believe, for Curious Radio. I met him there when George Perez interviewed me. And Abel, if I got your name right, hopefully I didn't butcher it. Thank you very, very much, because this man, he asked me, what's your budget to start a podcast? And I said, I don't know. What do you think I need? He said, probably about 1,000. We bought an analog board. I think we bought like 3 cheesy cameras, 3 cheesy mics, some headphones, and I bought a $700 computer. That's besides the $1,000 that I had set aside for everything else. Bought everything brand new. And then we just went live, and we didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know who we were going to attract. We didn't know who was going to be watching. So that's why I'm saying, man, if you have a dream, dream big. Believe that it's going to work. Be wise about your decision. And if nobody's doing it, but you believe it can work, go against the grain and do it. Do it. Roadium Radio was successful because of you guys. Partly, I'll take the back seat on this because I knew it would work. I knew it would work. There had never been a platform like this before. Now, Tony, I think you're patting yourself on the back. Let me say something. I was gone for 2002 to 2015. A lot of you rappers, a lot of you record label owners, and a lot of you podcasters, okay, could have started before I came out in 2019, and you didn't. Okay? But yet the guy who started it got the most shit from everyone, when all I was trying to do was help. But we'll get to that. Okay. Was it worth all the time, effort, and money invested? Yes, absolutely. It truly, truly was. I was truly blessed here. I was truly, truly blessed here. And I had to realize after like my first year that you got to have thick skin to do this podcasting. And if I could put it nicely, you can't be a pussy and do this. You can't. That when the shit hits the fan, you run and hide. Okay? You don't do that. You don't do that. And believe me, I went through a lot of adversity. So yes, it was worth my time, effort, and money because of you, the fans, and of my awesome guest. Memorable guest. let me give you some of my memorable guests. Now, I have over 350 interviews, so not all 350 I'm going to name, though I enjoyed every single one of them. If you would have named one person, I would have remembered exactly our conversation. Thank God that he blessed me with a photographic memory. My first one, and this is kind of like in order, I went through my whole YouTube catalog, and I just picked out the ones that stood out to me, and many of them, I didn't care if anybody watched. I interviewed these people for me because these people have been in the game for so long, and I wanted to know their wisdom and knowledge. For an example, a woman that most people call the godmother of hip hop, Violet Brown. I asked her one question, and it stuck with me. I asked her, when hip hop first came out, when rap first came out, what was the music industry saying? And she said everybody was saying that it was just a fad and that it will pass. We're in 2024 now, okay? 2024. And the hip hop culture, the element of rap has changed the world. Has changed the world. Now we're going to have Kendrick Lamar hosting the Super Bowl halftime show. Rap has touched everyone. So Violet Brown, Lonzo from the World Class Wrecking Crew, I asked him the same question, and he said they just thought it was just going to in and out like everything else. He goes, and it's still here. So Lonzo was another one of my memorable interviews because I grew up listening to the Wrecking Crew like a lot of you guys. And to be able to have that man sit right here across from me, knowing that I looked up to his music, bro. Okay. Sir Jinx, Dr. Dre's cousin, who it's funny how he would be Dr. Dre's cousin and then produce No Vaseline for Ice Cube to diss his cousin. That was pretty wild. But much love and respect to Jinx. Arabian Prince, I met him at Audio Achievements, a former member of NWA. And then this group right here I had never met, Aquid. Two dope brothers, okay? I remember when they first came in, my friend DG was taking pictures. And we stood against this wall right here, to my right. They had just walked in. I said, hey, my photographer's got to leave, so we got to take our pictures right now. We didn't really even get a chance to shake hands, and I put my arms around them. And they both looked up to me, and they said something that it truly, truly humbled me. They both said, right now, we're a little starstruck. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. And we don't get like that. So, you know what? So to both of you, man, much love and respect to you guys for allowing me to interview you guys. Another one, Night Owl. Rest in peace, Night Owl. I've known Night Owl since 1994. And when I asked him to come out here and do the interview, he told me, yes, let me feel a little bit better. A lot of people don't know he was fighting diabetes. He was open enough to talk about the whole spanking situation, so I thank him for coming through. He didn't do a lot of interviews. I know he did one for Cardo Mack, if I'm correct, and he did one for me. Shiro, everybody knows her from Sunday Afternoon of Lighter Shade of Brown. Shiro gave us a great interview. Bobby D, great interview. I remember I called him, I reached out to him, and I didn't think I had a chance. And he said, yeah, Tony, whatever you want, I'll be there. And he drives up in his green Lamborghini. It was an amazing night. Magic Girl from Bakersfield. I met her at a car show. She was playing the talk box. I reached out to her. What really impressed me about her, I think she was 24 at the time, and how she just liked funk. And I'm an older cat, so I was thinking, like, how in the hell you like or embrace the shit that I grew up with? That's what kind of like blew me away. I brought her here. She gave us a talk box demonstration. It was awesome. Sir Dino. That one was the one when I first started getting my first death threats on a podcast. Because he's ex-Norteño, did Norteño rap, he did Norteño movies. But let me tell you something about Sir Dino, David Rocha. He was ahead of his time. This guy, I believe, had 6, 7, or 8 movies under his belt already. He goes to prison, does his time. He gives his life to the Lord in solitary. When I met him, I believe he was already pastoring for about 11 years. And I got so many people calling me. You're going to have a Norteño, he's a pastor. You're going to have a Norteño. Ask him how many Sureños he beat up. You're going to have a Norteño. He's just not going to talk street politics. He's going to talk about his testimony. And all of those guys that called me up, the next day called me up and told me that was an amazing interview. So much love and respect to David Rocha. Then I want to give, let me see who else. I interviewed my first mayor, Mayor Blanca Pacheco, the mayor of Downey, the first Latina mayor of the city of Downey. She gave me an opportunity to sit down with her. I don't know too much about politics. I'm still learning the whole podcasting thing. But I got a chance to sit down with the first Latina mayor of the city of Downey. So I did that one. And let me see. Kelvin Anderson, the owner of VIP Records. Those of you guys that remember Snoop Dogg when he danced on top of the record store, that's Kelvin Anderson's record store on PCH and Martin Luther King, right across the street from Poly High. So much love and respect to Kelvin and Long Beach. Then the Mexicans from the Harbor area as well, from Long Beach, Capital I-Man and Sinful. To me, in my opinion, Sinful is the guy that laid the blueprint for rappers to rap in Spanish. My opinion. Chris the Glove Taylor. I saw him in a 1983 documentary playing the, he was on the turntables, cutting and scratching, and then Egyptian Lover was on the 808, and that was the first documentary called Breaking and Entering. If you guys ever get a chance, YouTube that, Breaking and Entering. Chris the Glove was on that. So I wanted to meet him. Growing up, I saw that documentary, and to have that man sitting across from me, and then to tell me that one of my all-time favorite bootleg records he did, Scratch Dance. For all you DJs out there, he did that. Who else? Oh, Prayers, husband to Kat Von D. He's the only guy that had the audacity, which I don't have a problem with, to thank Satan live on Roadium Radio. That's what he said. I want to give a shout out to El Diablito. And I go, are you talking about the guy from the Loteria? He goes, yeah, him too. Cool, down-to-earth guy, man. Cool, down-to-earth. Cholo Goth from San Diego. Another one is the Baker Boys from Bakersfield, California. Who can forget the Baker Boys? Nick and Eric, much love and respect for giving me the opportunity to sit down across from you and to talk hip-hop. They told me, at least one of them told me, and I believe they both agreed. I guess I have to go back and look, that one of their biggest regrets was not interviewing Tupac. They actually turned down that interview. And if you go back and watch that interview, you'll understand why, and they gave their reasons. Esteban Oreo, LA Originals. He's the guy responsible for this right here, okay? He took that picture, had it on the shirts. Esteban Oreo, such a fucking, down-to-earth, cool guy, man. He's been here like 5 times and gotten drunk with me every time. Much love, Esteban. Frankie Quinones. That's what's up. Cholo Fit Creeper. That guy's winning right now, bro. One thing I want to say, he DM'd me a while back. I want to say maybe a year ago, I'm not sure when. And he said, you know who's my dad's favorite? This is Frankie Quinones. He said, I go, who? He goes, you are. My dad tells me that he loves watching you. I was like, wow, bro. That was beautiful, man. So thank you for those words, bro. Another one was Wicked from Brownside. You know, all of them. Clever, Lady Benz, all of them from Brownside that were connected to Brownside. Like, they spoke very highly of Toker. And I always said Toker would live through Roadium Radio. All the great memories. Clever actually brought me an album cover from Brownside, and he autographed it. And I still have it hanging up right here. So, yeah, his memory would always be here, and his name would always live on here. Then Bella the Rapper. Bella the Rapper. A little tiny little thing, Pocahontas, if you will. 17 years old, comes in here with her mother, comes in here with Erica, B&B Entertainment. Much love and respect to Erica. Erica has always had nothing but love for me. But Bella the Rapper, firecracker. There's not enough that I can say about Bella, but she when I met her, she had it. So, wow, how did I get that one wrong? Okay, I'll come back to that one. I have a misspelling. But another one was MC Magic. I did a show in 2006, I believe, in Arizona with second to none, AMG, DJ Quick. This is the time when Quick had released a song called Can You Work With That? They released it independently and it was winning. And I did an interview in Arizona. And then when I gave my little history of the swap meet, then they brought up MC Magic. And I was like, oh, okay. And to have him sit across from me was amazing to me, because I like when people tell me the story in chronological order, how it happened. That's why I tell every artist, before we get to the artist, let's get to the person. Where were you raised? Like, what music were you raised with? You come from a big family. What school did you go to? Did you play sports? I want people to get to know them on a personal level. And I want to give a shout out to Big D, Magic's manager. He reached out to me and he says, hey, I want to bring Magic to your platform. That's how that happened. And since then, we've been friends. So thank you, Big D, and thank you, MC Magic. Another one of my personal ones, I literally had to talk to this man for about 6 months because he absolutely does no interviews. DJ King Scratch Joe Cooley. Okay. Rodney and Joe Cooley is how you guys know him. Okay. Joe Cooley didn't want to do that interview. As a friend and as a guy that was my mentor, and the first guy that I ever seen literally tear it up on a whole different other level when I was 14, 15 years old, was Joe Cooley. And I literally, as a friend, begged him, please, man, do it for me. Sit across from me. Talk to me. He was good friends with my brother Mario, rest in peace, that just passed away. And then he became my good friend, and he came. Now, this is when we used to take breaks. We would do 30-minute, 10-minute breaks, 30-minute, 10-minute breaks, 30 minutes. For those 2 segments, we had very bad audio, and it really, really bugged me because these cameras have mics, and the guy that was working the board left the mics on, so it sounded hollow, and we didn't figure it out until our second break. That's why the third part sounds so much better, and I wish I could have given you guys such a better audio, if you will, interview. But that's one of them, Joe Cooley. And another guy that I looked up to, and I still do, as a teenager, because I heard him on the radio and I heard he was Raza, was Tony G. Tony Gonzalez, the producer of Mentirosa en la Raza, and many, many more. Okay? An amazing engineer, an amazing friend. I've learned a lot of knowledge and wisdom sitting next to him this year, just this year alone. A lot of people don't know that many times I've gone over to his house and I've recorded him because he's teaching me a lot of things that I've never learned, whether it's on Logic, whether it's on Ableton, or whatever else. But I know Tony tells me, hey, man, I'm not a teacher. I'm not a, yeah, you are. At least to me, you are. So thank you, Tony, for that interview. Another one was ODM. I've been knowing ODM from Lighter Shade of Brown since the early 90s. One of my first shows that I ever did was with ODM, and rest in peace, Bobby, in Arizona at a Johnny Lazoya car show. Another one was Razcast from the city of Carson. Razcast, what I remember about him, that in the Source magazine, most of you guys know, which is considered the Bible of pretty much rap, the magazine, there was only one person, if I'm correct, that had 5 mics. That was Nas. Okay? They were going to give Razcast 6 mics, and they never did. Something happened. When you get a chance, check out that interview. He explains what happened. Razcast from Carson. He went to Banning High School. He went to the same high school I went to. Next one is Dazo, the Lower the Car Show queen. My opinion, there's nobody bigger than Dazo. Period. Today, girls throw on booty shorts, G-strings, and heels, and all of a sudden they're models. Dazo was it, before social media. Much love and respect to Dazo. Then the other one was Be Real. Be Real was almost signed to Disney, but they passed on him. Cypress Hill, I don't know why. I was a huge day one fan of Be Real, and then to be able to perform and do shows with Cypress Hill was amazing. Martin Moreno from the city of Wilmington, the comedian who does a lot of stuff with Fluffy. He went to my high school as well. Carmelo Alvarez, the owner of Radiotron. Rashidi Harper, I already mentioned him, a director. DJ Nasty Ness. This is Nasty Ness from Seattle. You guys know him from the videos of Sir Mix-a-Lot. Spice One. And I'm just going to name them, you guys, because I'm running out of time and I'm not trying to be here that long. Spice One, Go Toes, Cap G, DJ Yella, Julio G. Julio G, I've known Julio since the late 80s, or should I say mid 80s. Julio G, dope DJ, dope person. Little Easy E, Cobra from Booyah, and his son D-Boy. Psycho Les from the Beatnuts, Eric Bobo from Cypress Hill, DJ Rectangle, much love and respect to him. And then my brother, Rockin' Chicano, and who could forget D-Smoke? This brother taught himself Spanish. And you know what? D-Smoke, being a black man, can out-rap a lot of Chicanos in Spanish. That's just the truth. Go back and look at his video. Half of that video is in Spanish. Tony, you trying to... No, I'm not trying to diss you. This is just facts, bro. Calm down, pal. Okay. Candyman. Who can forget Knocking Boots and his producer, Johnny J. Sun Doobie. And who could forget Marvelous Inc. Conversation with Marvelous. Black C from, God, the name of the group. I'm sorry, my bro. RBO Posse. There you go. DJ Battle Cat. Who can forget Sugar Free? The great philosopher Sugar Free. He said, bitch, screenshots don't scare me. I know what I said. That was a great, great line. MC8. Everybody knows him from Yeah. And what was the name of that movie? Menace to Society. Money B from Digital Underground. DJ Melody from the Beat Junkies. And the one and only DJ Qbert. So many more I could name. But for right now, that's where I'm at. Some of my most memorable interviews. Now, let me see. Okay. So here's how I'm going to wrap things up. I gave myself 5 years. Today's 5 years. I wanted to end it today. But after much talk with some of my team members, I'll probably end it at the end of this year or sooner. I'm believing much sooner. I'll probably do about 3 or 4 shows, and the 4th one will be my final finale, where we say it's the end. Now, somebody may say, why, Tony? Because I truly do feel that Roadium Radio has done what it was supposed to do within these 5 years. I believe that I gave everybody an opportunity to shine light on what they do, and I hope and pray that it really helped you and blessed you guys. But I truly do believe that Roadium Radio did what it was supposed to do, and that was just time for me to move on. So I'm giving myself to the end of this year, but I'm not promising you that I am. I'm probably going to do about 3 or 4 more shows, tops at that, and then just, say goodbye to everyone. Now, I will still be active on my community on YouTube, meaning like I'll post up flyers to whatever event I'll be DJing and performing at, because I got some shows coming up, some big shows. We're doing big arenas, with E40, the Dog Pound, Sugar Free, DJ Quick, The Game, Bone Thugs. I'm not doing no nightclubs. We're just doing big shows, so I'll be posting that on my community. Now, to all my members, I will be posting weekly, 2 to 3 times if possible. I will be posting concert footage, okay? Whenever I post up the flyer, tell me on there, say Warren G's performing. Tony, I want to see Warren G up on stage. I'll have somebody film it. Tony, because you're a member, I will do that for our members. So I'm going to keep the membership going. I'll be active on there. So if you guys want to see fresh new content that I'll be filming wherever I go, I like to do a thing called In the Lab, where I go to producers' houses and they kind of walk me through their history and show me how they put together music. So far I have my friend DJ Dominator, and I have my friend DJ, not DJ, but Seven from Hellafed Records. I got more coming. Okay, so now this gives me more time to do what I want to do with filming and everything else. Now, somebody may ask, what about Freaky Tales? I'm not sure if I'm going to continue that either. I will say this, that I at least will finish September and October of Freaky Tales, and we'll see where that goes. But as far as Roadium Radio, I would like to give myself maybe 3 or 4 more shows, and then it's a wrap. So, like I said, I do believe that Roadium Radio did everything that it was supposed to do, but I do want to give some bit of advice to a lot of you podcasters, that want to start a podcast or you're barely starting a podcast. Somebody asked me, Tony, what do you do to get people to tune in? I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't know, because I didn't know what I was doing myself. I didn't know. Everybody was on Spotify. Everybody was just loading up their audio. I was just taking a chance and let's go live. If they watch, they watch. So I came to the conclusion that if they like you, they'll tune in. If they like you, they'll tune in. Now, if you want to hop over that and say, fuck that, I want instant numbers, here's what you do, but I don't recommend it. You become a podcaster that talks shit about people. You become a podcaster that starts chisme, starts gossip, that starts drama. You'll get the numbers. You'll get the numbers. I don't advise you do that unless you plan to be home every day, because you will make enemies. You will make enemies. If you think you're going to start up a shit show, a Chicano Jerry Springer shit show, and think there's not going to be any repercussions, I'm sorry. I wouldn't suggest doing that. If people like you, they'll tune in. I wish everyone the best. Have good intentions when you start a podcast. Educate and bless people. Make them feel like a somebody. I've had guys that sat right here. Let me give you an example. When Bella the rapper first came here, she was 17 years old. I believe she had about 6,000 followers on Instagram. Bella and Erica, if you guys are hearing me, please correct me if I'm wrong. On Instagram, I think Bella had about 6, maybe close to 7,000 followers on Instagram. Now she has like 95,000, almost 100,000 on Instagram. On her YouTube, I know she had about 2,000 subscribers. She has over 100,000 subscribers. That is my pay, to see people like that succeed, to see people like that win. Now, when you're podcasting and you hit success, when I say success, you got people watching your videos. I guess back then my videos were averaging between 7 to 10K, and we were only up 1 year. We were averaging 7 to 10K. Even people that didn't have a following, we were averaging 7 to 10K, okay? But there were other videos that were hitting 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80K. But that was the least that we were averaging, at least 7 to 10K. And, man, it's been a blessing. Now, did I face adversity? This will be the last thing that I cover. Yes, I did. Remember this. My advice to you, if you're going to start a podcast, be very careful who you let in your circle. Be very, very careful. Because there are fucking snakes out there, man. There's snakes that are going to tell you, we're here to build with you, but they're really stealing bricks so they can go build somewhere else. That's really what they're doing. One of the things you're going to face is if you ever interview someone or have somebody come on to do a conversation, you're going to have some jealous person call you up and tell you, hey, I wouldn't interview that guy. I wouldn't interview that girl. Why? Yeah, he's a hater. I don't really like him. He's a dropout. I heard this about. That's how it all started with me. And when I just told the guy, this is just a podcast. I'm just shining light on his music. Nah, bro, fuck that. Before you know it, 2 guys started going live talking shit about me. And those 2 guys, I actually interviewed them here. I called them up. And if I could say this respectfully, their careers were gone. This platform resurrected their career. So when they got a little bit of light, they felt we could still Roadium Radio from him, or we could tell him what to do. One guy actually said this. One of those guys that came against me said, hey, when I come back to your platform, I hadn't even invited him again. When I come back to your platform, I want to sit in your seat and I want to have you hogtied on the floor, blindfolded with tape on your mouth, almost like if I took over Roadium Radio. What do you think about that? And I just said it kindly. Fuck off. I'm not going to give you something that me and my team built just so you can fuck it off. And after a year of knowing these guys, they started going live and talking shit about me pretty much every day. If I go live at Sunday, 7 o'clock, they went live at Sunday, 7. If I went live Wednesday at 8 o'clock, they went live. And then you had that one female that came against me. You're going to have people come against you. Tony did this, Tony did that, Tony did that, and no proof, just a YouTube story, a YouTube rumor. And you'll be surprised how many people turned against me. Even people that I helped and interviewed. This is the adversity that I'm telling you what happened when you hit success in this podcasting world. And my biggest supporters at that time were actually women. And I'll give them a shout out right now. Then I had another guy going live, said that he had my paperwork. Well, I hadn't even gone to court yet, but he had paperwork on me. Look, let me say it this way, because I need to. Oh, yeah. I had videos made about me. I had memes made about me. I had cartoons made about me. I had songs made about me. False accusations made about me. And I'm probably the only podcaster amongst Raza that has had 6 Instagram pages deleted. This is my 7th right now. That's why I've never been able to gain a following, because my pages get deleted. But name me another podcaster that has had all of this and is still here. So I say this as words of encouragement to you younger generation that are starting podcasts. You got to have thick skin when you do this, man, because the people that are going to come against you, it's going to be your own people. It's going to be your own people. It's going to be your own raza. And it's sad that I came to the conclusion that when raza hates on you, and I'm not talking about all of raza, I'm talking about that small community of haters. When they come against you, they're the worst. They are the worst. I believe that nobody can out-hate us. Nobody can out-hate us. We will do the most to bring each other down. And then we want to get up in front of your face and say, help us, help them. And how come we don't make it? And how? Because of us. Because of all you guys that think that you're entitled to get something you want, but you can't because you were told no. Fuck you, I'm going to make a video. Fuck you, I'm going to make a cartoon. Fuck you, I'm going to make a song about you. Fuck you, I'm going to make a fake page about you. Fuck. Like, fuck. Ya, güey, por favor, cálmate. You know, it's enough already. But the podcasters, you got to have thick skin. And I'm going to warn you about something, okay? My last warning. If you have any bones in the closet and you think you're going to be able to come on a podcast and talk shit about people, somebody's going to go digging in your trash cans, bro. Somebody's going to go digging in your trash cans, and when they find something, it could be a report card from the 6th grade and say, this motherfucker got all Fs. Look, we're going to go public with this. They're going to do it, man. Now, for the other raza that supported me, man, it's been a beautiful thing. And let me tell you why it's been a beautiful thing. Because I met people that root for me that I have never met. And then when I do meet them, it's all love. It's all love. And that's who I do it for. All the other people that said and done and fake YouTube pages about me, that doesn't bother me. It didn't get you guys anywhere. You know, Jerry Heller said this. Jerry Heller, the Jewish man that got NWA Center priority. He said, don't worry about when they talk about you. Be thankful that they talk about you. Worry when they no longer talk about you, because that means you're no longer relevant. All publicity, all controversy is good publicity. That's what I'm going to say. So if anybody wants to reach out to me and Tony, I have a question, Tony this, my Instagram is up. You can reach out to me. I'm down to, give you some pointers. Maybe to what kind of cameras that you use, what kind of lighting that you use, whatever. But I do want to thank everyone that has supported me. I do want to thank everyone that has just been there and has tuned in, man, and who loves hip-hop, who loves the culture, who wants to see our people win, who wants to see our people succeed. So much love and respect to you guys. So once again, to give a quick recap before I start reading the super chats, B, we have some super chats, correct? Okay. Before we do that, I do want to say that I wouldn't have made it this far if it wasn't for you guys. So we're not going to end the show tonight. I'll probably do about 3 or 4, and then it'll be a wrap. So we'll have one last show. I don't know who I will bring on the last show, but it will be ending soon. So thank you guys. So let me read this. Okay. Escondido en la pinche casa. The homie Kike, #1 fan. Felicidades to the team and Tony A and the motherfucking wizard, Roadium Radio. Por vida, may you stay with us longer. You are a cornerstone of la cultura. Much love and respect, Kike from the city of Escondido. This podcast has given me such good laughs and gotten me through stressful times. I appreciate y'all for the real. Much love from Strong Island, New York. Oh, he became a member too. I'm trying to remember. I think his name is Hands On. Victor Aguilar. Un saludo para toda la raza. Carlos de Leon dropped $9.99 and he just sends love. Let me see. Light and Logic. You are one of the best. I've learned things from you. I'm Not Your Puppet. Classic song. Thank you. Fernando Chico 1. Fernando Chico 1. Tony A, United IE, and LA. Congrats for 5 years. Thank you, man. I don't want to butcher your name. Frostman? Okay. Roadium Radio, happy 5-year Tony A. Enrique Ledesma, once again, Roadium Radio is my therapy. It's not a goodbye. And I will catch you on the rebound, vato. Brownside, Vida, RIP Toker, Wicked, wherever you are, gracias por todo. Another Enrique Ledesma, the haters are certified cucks. Amen to that. Mr. Capone, same for rappers, but 25 years strong. For me, 1-7 the lames. Gracias for showing the movement. Love, puro high power, SGV, LA County Realist. He dropped $19.99. Muchas gracias, Mr. Capone, for tuning in. I remember Mr. Capone did a post or a story on his page, and he tagged me on one of my pages that got deleted. He actually even made a short, I believe, on YouTube, and he mentioned other podcasters, and he mentioned me. Mr. Capone, I believe the first year or the first year and a half, we spoke on the phone, I believe, twice. He was in the middle of recording records, well, at least his album, and he was supposed to be here. It never happened, but you know what? I would have loved to have sat down with you and spoken hip-hop, man. So thank you for tuning in and being a part of Roadium Radio tonight. So let me see. DZ56202. Hopefully we get a site that you could still throw down content and merch. Gracias. Yes, become a member on Roadium Radio so you can catch content. I will be on Tony Vision. When you become a member, I think it's only like $5 a month. Okay, so you pay more every day for Starbucks. And I'm going to be releasing content of our shows and etc. People's studios that I'll be visiting. And you guys can see the latest there and the latest performances whenever I do perform at these big events, whether it's Bobby D or whoever. So thank you guys very, very much. Was that the last one, B? Okay. Thank you guys. Until next time, much love and respect. I'm not going to say goodbye, so just take us away, B.